The entire contents of this podcast and website are based upon the opinions of Tammy Garcia and her guests, unless otherwise noted. The information on this podcast is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional and is not intended as medical advice. It is intended as a sharing of knowledge and information from the research and experience of Tammy Garcia and her guests. This is the Naturally Inspired Podcast, coming to you from our 1890 homestead in Johnstown, Colorado. I'm Tammy, and I want to thank you for joining us. Let's get started and help people feel good so they can do what they love for longer. Today on the Naturally Inspired Podcast, I'm flying solo. I wanted to take this time to talk to you about some habits when it comes to natural health. So I decided this would be a great time. We've had 3 shows and we've covered a lot of information. But what good is that information if you don't know how to implement it into your life? So I thought this would be the perfect time to sit down and talk about how we change our habits. I personally have changed quite a few habits throughout my life. I definitely had some bad habits as a younger person. And as I get older, I'm able to tweak every year my habits to get closer to my goal. So I'm pretty good, I think, at changing habits. When I first started running, I actually hated running, like hated it. And if you ask anybody who went to high school with me, they know that I hated running. Anybody that had PE class with me knew that I hated running. But when I was in my 20s, I wasn't figure skating anymore. And I had been figure skating from probably the age of 2, right up until about 16 or 17. And so I was used to that. I was exercising regularly on a weekly basis. A nightly basis, actually. And so to come off of that and then not have a regular exercise program was different for me, and I wasn't used to it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a ton of money either when I was in my 20s, so I couldn't continue on figure skating and paying for that for myself. So I had to find something else to do to stay active. So I actually got a job in a health club because I thought this will be perfect. I can have free membership and work there. And I started doing aerobics and step aerobics and all kinds of things that were offered there. And I also started using the treadmill a little bit. So I would run from time to time outside. And then that was when I was still living back in Canada. So I was right around between 18 and 20. And then when I moved away to the States, here to Colorado, I found myself in another situation where I had to find something to keep myself active. Again, I didn't have a lot of money. So I kind of, went from one health club to the next health club, trying to kind of find my spot where I could settle in. And finally, one day, I just got so tired of not feeling active and feeling strong that I said, you know what, I'm just going to run. So I went to Target and I bought the cheapest pair of running shoes that you can imagine. I think they were about $20. And I don't even you wouldn't even recognize the name if I told you what they were because they were so cheap. And I thought, I'm just going to run. I had just read a book by Tony Robbins that said, if you do something for 30 days in a row, it'll become a habit. And I thought, okay, well, running is cheap. I can do it anywhere. I don't need a gym membership. I don't need much equipment. So I'm just going to do this. So I went and bought the cheap running shoes, bought a pair of shorts, got myself ready to go, and thought, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run every day for 30 days for 20 minutes and just see how it goes. If I still hate it after 30 days, then I'll stop and I'll find something else. So that's how I started running. I went out the first day and it was horrible. My teeth and my gums were pounding for some reason. I remember tasting blood in my mouth. My legs hurt, my feet hurt. It was not good. But I had committed that I was going to do this for 30 days. I really believed in the book that I had read, and I thought, I can do this for 30 days and then I will never do it again. That's what I thought after the first day. And then I went out the second day and it was a little bit better, not much. Again, the throbbing gums and the taste of blood in my mouth, terrible. But again, sucked it up and did it. And then the third day got a little better. And then the fourth day got a little better. And then by the fifth, sixth, seventh day, I started to look forward to it. I felt accomplished when I would go out and run. It made me feel like, okay, I can really do this. I can overcome something that I hated before, and make it something that I love and get something out of it. So that's where my love for running started. And I was able to turn those 20 minutes into 40 minutes. And I did my first 5K that year and I placed pretty well in it and I was hooked. I thought, this is great. These are events that I can go to. It's something fun to look forward to. And I established a habit of running. And that's how I did it. So I have done that, applied that kind of same principles with many things over the years, from food to time management. That's a huge thing for me. And I still work on time management today. And I'm not perfect at any of these things, I like to add. There are certainly days that I don't feel like doing what I should be doing. But because I have learned how to form a habit, I can always look back and see where I'm falling short. So I don't have to be so hard on myself when I'm falling short in what I'm trying to accomplish. So when I have a goal, I can look at my goal and say, okay, I want to be here. So what are the steps that I need to do to get there? And that kind of takes the emotion out of it. And I think a lot of us get caught up in the emotions of why we're not where we want to be at. With natural health and health especially, we tend to beat ourselves up and blame it on willpower. I'm not where I want to be because I suck and I can't do this and I just have no willpower. And that's not productive and it's not true. It's much more than willpower to break a habit. So what I've done for the Naturally Inspired podcast and the people that I work with who want to get to optimum health is I've created a system. And the system has 8 parts to it. And so when we're not getting where we want to be, all we have to do is reflect on the system and see where we're falling short. So today, I'm going to take you through the system of the 8 parts, and maybe you can start to realize, oh, maybe it's not my willpower. Maybe I don't suck. Maybe I just have to put more into this particular area in order to achieve the goal. So with that, let's get started on the 8 parts. The very first part is awareness. And awareness is so key because if you're not aware of the habits that you have and why they're hindering you from being where you want to be, then there's no possible way for you to change it because you don't know that you're doing it. So the first thing is awareness. So take my example of running, okay? Just being aware that I wanted to feel stronger. I wanted to take up something that was going to improve my health. What could I do in order to do this? I started to look around for things that I could do. Could I join a gym membership? Maybe that wasn't the right answer for me at that time. So what else could I do? I started making myself aware of things that I could do. Now, running was perfect because at the time I was working really early in the morning, so I could get done early in the day. I was off by 2 at that point, so I could go right after I got done with work. I didn't have to have a gym membership. I had easy access to the shoes and I could just run outside. So I made myself aware of things that I could do that fit my schedule. Now with natural health, it's real important to make sure that you're making yourself aware of the habits that you have that are not contributing to your optimum health. So, nutrition is huge in this department. We eat foods and we go places and we buy things that aren't necessarily healthy for us. And some of those things are obvious. We know chocolate bars aren't good for us. We know pop's not good for us. But some things are not so obvious. There's a lot of things that have hidden ingredients in it that we don't know are keeping us from our optimum health. So once you start making yourself aware of how you feel when you eat certain foods afterwards, then you can start to keep track of maybe these aren't good food choices for me. Now, there's a lot of people who they don't feel good after they eat dairy, but they're not connecting that. So maybe they get foggy headed after they eat dairy, or they have stomach problems after they eat dairy. But because they're not aware that that particular thing is causing that, they can't change it. So bringing awareness to your nutrition and to your diet is key in making the change. So one suggestion I like to use for nutrition and awareness is simply keeping a food diary. If you eat something and it has an adverse effect on you, you kind of just blow it off the next day, like, oh yeah, that I ate some of that and it didn't feel very good. But if you're writing it down and you can see a pattern of it day after day, or every time you eat it, you feel a certain way, then you can start to connect that in your brain that this is the outcome after I eat this. I feel like this. So now you've made yourself aware of the issue. And that goes for many things. Even overeating. Nobody feels good after they overeat. But if you make a mental note to be aware of how you feel after you overeat, you're much more likely to not do it. So if you can pull up a mental picture, if you will, of how you feel after you eat something that makes you feel bad, and you can go there in your mind before you make that choice, you are much more likely to not make that choice. So, if that makes sense, simply, if when you feel bad, you don't do it. So, if you're mindful and aware of this habit, then chances of you doing it are less, if that makes sense. So staying aware is key to your success. And it's the first part of kind of my transformation wheel, is what I like to call it. So it's the first step of 8, awareness. And it applies to anything, really. It doesn't just have to apply to food. It can apply to all kinds of things. If you're going places that you're more prone to make bad choices, that's also making yourself aware of that. Oh, every time I go to this restaurant, I make bad choices. Maybe don't go there, or make a different choice so that you don't sabotage yourself, if that makes sense. So that's the first step in the transformation wheel, is awareness. Second step is discover and educate. So once you're aware that, hey, okay, I need to make a change here. I'm aware that I'm not where I want to be in my goals with my health. I'm aware that every time I do, eat bad foods, I feel bad. When I go these places, I don't feel as good. I'm starting to realize that there's a whole lot of sugar in all these processed foods that I eat on the regular basis that I didn't even know had sugar in them. But now you've made yourself aware, so you continue to discover and educate, which is the second step. Discover and educate. You continue to do that. And that's a lifetime journey. You're always going to want to be educating yourself on your health and how you can improve. So you need to make sure that you're exposing yourself to information on a regular basis. What are the newest studies on this kind of food? Why is it good to eat more fruits and vegetables? These are all questions that you can easily get answered on the internet, or even having conversations with people. is a good way to educate yourself. People's stories, what did they do to get where they are today? Find someone that, you admire or that you think has optimum health, and just talk about what they do to achieve that. It's just fascinating to learn people's stories about how they've come through different trials or how they stay on track. You ever have that friend that's like, wow, how do they do that? How do they keep how are they so healthy? How do they keep exercising all the time? What motivates them? How do they do that? That's a lot of people's questions. Like, how do we continue to do this on a long-term basis? This seems hard, but if you follow these steps, it's actually pretty simple. It's simple, and it comes down to choices and consistent action over time. So the second one is discover and educate, to continue to educate yourself on how you can achieve your optimum health. And the third one is a great one. It is your vision and your goal. Um, if you don't have a vision or a goal for yourself with your optimum health or with anything, how are you ever going to get there? Or where is it? I'm always pretty surprised when I hear that people don't have a goal or a vision for where they want to be. So it's super important to have a goal, because you cannot arrive there if you don't know where you're going. And maybe your goal is, incremental. You make small goals along the way, because the bigger goal may take a while. But as long as you're hitting goals along the way, then you're going to stay engaged in the process of reaching optimum health. So, big goals. I love big goals and big visions, because they're motivating. And if you take time out to really write them down, I want to be, running my first 5K by July. Then you start to think about the steps that you need to take to get there. Okay? And that's super important. Again, this system is taking out the emotion, right? You don't have to be disappointed in your willpower, or disappointed in emotional that you didn't make your goal, or feel like, oh, I can't do this, because it's very simple with these steps. You're going to follow these steps. They're going to help you get to your goal. Now, if you don't follow the steps, well, then you'll know, hey, I fell short in this area. I didn't make myself aware, or I didn't continue to educate myself, or I had no vision, and I had no goals. So that's why I'm not where I want to be today. So when you're setting a goal, best thing to do is to set little goals along the way so that you can get there. For me, my first race was a 5K, and I was thrilled to have done well in a 5K, and I really didn't have that big of intention to go on to full marathons or anything. It happened pretty organically, really. I just fell in love with running. I made myself aware of something that I could do on my own. I continued to educate myself. One of the first things that I did was I subscribed to Runner's World magazine. And I loved that magazine. I loved that it came to my house every month. I used to tear out the articles that touched me for inspiration and put them on our fridge. And that was so motivating to me. So right there, I was educating myself with the articles in Runner's World. And I was also creating a vision for myself by inspiring myself with other people's stories. So when I would see people, recovering from a horrible accident or a horrible illness and then running a marathon, I would think, and what's my excuse? What's my excuse? The people are overcoming these massive obstacles in their life. And I used that as fuel, because I was perfectly healthy, 2 legs that worked, and I had no excuse. So they were part of my motivation to achieve my goal, which was optimum health. I always had a goal of optimum health. The next step is belief. Now, this is a big one, because if you don't believe that you can do something, if you don't really believe that you're capable of it, then you're right. You're not. you really do have to work on your belief. So with natural health, you have to believe that you can overcome these symptoms, these dysfunctions of your body, if you will. Um, because if you don't believe that you can, then you're absolutely right. You cannot. So, how do you do that? How do you build your belief in natural health? And how do you believe that you can be where you want to be? You have to feed your mind. You have to feed your mind with stories of people that have done it. You have to visualize yourself where you want to be, and you have to hang on to your successes. So, in the beginning, you may not see a whole lot of change, and that sometimes is discouraging to people. But you have to hang on to the little successes. If you are sitting on the couch every night, 5 nights a week after work, and not doing anything, and you start walking in the evening, that's success. You've taken action, and you've taken action towards your optimum health. You have to celebrate those things. That is part of your goal right there. That is part of your vision. Um, so you have to really believe that you can get where you want to be. And the system of these 8 steps is so great because it will help you build your belief. Because all you have to do is look at the system and see where you're falling short, and then make a shift and put more effort into that particular component of the system. So building your belief, you need to believe that you can do it. You need to read other people's stories. You need to talk to other people about that have done it. You need to really get into the mechanics of people that have changed and achieved their optimum health. The next step is focus. And this is a really important step as well, because when we're not focused, um, a lot of other things can come our way, and then we get distracted, and our goals get further away because we're not making them priority. So when you're looking at this system as a whole, you want to look at it kind of like a pie chart, and you want to see where you are from 0 to 10. So where's my awareness? How aware am I of all the foods that I'm eating that are disrupting my journey to optimum health? How aware am I of the lack of exercise or the other activities that I'm doing that are, shooting me in the foot so that I cannot achieve my optimum health? So you want to look at that from 0 to 10. And same with discovery and educate. You could spend 15 minutes a day educating yourself, really easy, on your phone. All you have to do is, subscribe to, health newscasts, health newsletters rather, or podcasts, and you put in 15 minutes. You get a great tip or a great story about someone's health, and that's education. 15 minutes a day. So from 0 to 10, where are you in educating yourself and discovering about optimum health? And then with your vision and your goals, they're nice to visit every day, especially the smaller ones. Now, I'm doing this because, and tell people that you have a vision or a goal. So, you know what? I'd love to go out for beers this Friday, but I have a goal. I'm going to run a 5K in July or whatever month you picked. And so maybe we can have beers another time. Or do you want to go for a hike with me instead? Because I have this goal. And people, quite honestly, people are taken aback when you say something like that. Like I'm giving this up, especially when they're used to having those activities with you. If there's somebody that you often eat bad food with, or you go out for beers with all the time, then they're going to be like, oh, wait, you're changing? You're changing? But when you explain to them that, hey, I really need to do this for myself. I really need to change here because I'm not feeling good. When I get up in the morning, I don't feel good. So this is the path I'm on. I'm going to change. Then they'll begin to understand. And especially when you start seeing results, then they're going to want to know, how are you doing this? So share your goal with people around you. Share with them. That will help also build your belief, because once they start seeing your successes, they're going to believe that they can do it. And it's just that domino effect that you can inspire someone and then get inspiration from them, to get where you want to go with your health. And focus comes into play here, because you really are going to have to drive that boat yourself. People aren't going to do your exercise for you. They're not going to make your food choices for you. No one can do that for you. You have to stay focused with your goal and what you want to achieve with your optimum health. And it's so important to put that at the priority. There's tons of demands on us today. Tons of demands. We're parents, we're friends, we're business owners, we're employees, we have to answer this email. I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff. However, what you really need to remember here is none of that stuff matters if you feel like shit, because all you care about is trying to feel better. And if you don't change now, you will be forced to change later. Meaning your health will become the priority if you don't make it the priority now. So your health will become the priority if you don't make it the priority now. So it's hard to do that when there's so many demands on us, but it is so important to stop the train now, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where your health has to be, your number one concern because you're in trouble with it. So staying focused is a crucial part of this system. The next step is immersion. Now, immersion is, somewhat like staying focused, right? You want to stay focused on your goal, but it's actually physically putting yourself there, immersing yourself in this new way of life that you want to achieve. You want to feel better, so you have to immerse yourself in this culture of naturally healthy lifestyle. So that means, you need to put a stop to some of the things that are hurting your journey to natural health as well. So instead of hanging out, in places where everybody has unhealthy habits, you have to start making choices where you're going to immerse yourself in places where people have healthy habits, where they can be supportive. So now that just doesn't count just for going places, but also for what you're putting in to your mind. So what you're reading, what you're watching, where you're going, all of these things kind of add up to um, the immersion that you need to put yourself in. You have to be around a healthy culture to achieve a healthy culture. It's pretty lonely when you're in environments where everyone's living and making choices that aren't towards your goals. So it's really important to find a place where you can immerse yourself. And there's great opportunities out there. There are fitness centers, there are clubs, there are running clubs. There's running clubs for people who are just getting started. There's running clubs for people who are more competitive, or there's just better hobbies that you can be filling your time with instead of things that sabotage your health. There are book clubs. Step out of your box is what I'm trying to say. Step out of your box. Try something that's different. Instead of looking for restaurants and drinking, going out for beers or whatever for entertainment, step out of your box and try to think of things that you've always wanted to try that would be entertaining for you. Food is not entertainment. It should not be entertainment. It's enjoyable, but we shouldn't be looking at it as entertainment. And so when we get together with our friends and all we're doing is eating and drinking, then that's sabotaging your optimum health journey and your goals. So try to start thinking of different things that you could do. Take up new hobbies, research things that are in your area, live concerts, you know, other things that you could do that won't sabotage your journey to optimum health. So immersion is big. You've got to make that commitment to taking yourself out of situations that are not helping you. Consistent application is the next one. So this is the seventh step. This is so important, consistent application. And I love this one because a lot of people think that, oh, this person was born that way. They're just born healthy, or just born active, or born talented, or born this way. And that is just not true. That is just not true. People develop over time. And consistent action over time equals your success. So the other part to that is that every successful journey is not linear. It doesn't happen one step, two step, three step, four step, five, and then just sailing off. That's not generally how it works. There's a lot of ups and downs in a journey to success, especially when it comes to optimum health, because you're making lifestyle changes. And some of these habits you've carried for years. For years, you've carried them. Since grade school, since you were in elementary school, some of these habits. We do what's convenient for us, and then it ends up becoming a habit, and we carry that through our life. And if we're not identifying them, then we can't change them. But once they've been identified, then we can change them. And then it's about consistent action. So you take action over time, and that equals success. So slowly but surely, you implement little changes, and then they accumulate. And then before you know it, years have gone by, and you can't even remember the person that used to go through the drive-through and, eat fast food, 2-3 burgers a time, or whatever your vice was, burgers, pop, fried foods, whatever it is. You will come to realize that you don't even really remember when you used to do that, because it's been so long, and you don't miss it because you feel so much better. Okay. And the last step is teaching. And this is huge. This is a huge piece of this pie here, is teaching what you know, because teaching does two things. So once you have learned a system on how to create a habit, you have gone through all the steps, then you can help someone else break a habit by using these steps. You can help them change for the better with their health by following these steps and taking the emotion out of it. Instead of beating themselves up or watching them beat themselves up about how horrible they are because they don't have the willpower and they can't do this and they can't do that, and it's just awful. And it's not. It's just a matter of changing a few things. You need to make some shifts and spend some more time on these steps. And you can teach somebody that. And what a gift. What a gift that is, to be able to help somebody stop beating themselves up about not achieving their optimum health. So it also does another thing for you, is when you start teaching someone, it just automatically builds in some accountability for you. Because now you're going around telling other people what you've done, how you've done it, and you're claiming it. So this makes you feel like you own it now. I own these habits. This is who I am. I am now healthier. I practice good habits. I've changed, and now I can help other people do that. You're going to teach them what they can do to make differences in their life, and that's going to hold you accountable, because you have now surrounded yourself with people who you're teaching, and they're holding you accountable, and you want to be accountable. You want to be accountable because this feels good. This feels good and you're helping other people. And I really think too that when it comes to teaching, I think it's the final step of learning. I can't, when I think back to anything that I have learned, it's always been a process. It's always been a process for me. I'm always like exposed to an idea, and then I have to kind of think about it for a while. And then the final step for me, when I know I've really grasped the concept, is when I can turn around and explain it to someone else. If you can explain it to someone else, then you know that you know how to do something. So that's the final step of the transformation system that we have here at Naturally Inspired Podcast. So just to recap, awareness is the first one. So you want to make yourself aware. You want to be aware of what are the habits that you have that are sabotaging your success to natural optimum health. One thing I want to talk about here too, just with awareness and natural health, is the doctor. I want to just take a second and talk about the doctor. We're kind of programmed to, when we don't feel good, to run to the doctor. And I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's important to assess the situation and see where you're at if you really need to go to the doctor. Is this something, that you might be able to read up on yourself and learn a little bit more before you go to the doctor? And then even after you go to the doctor, say you get a diagnosis of something, it's not required for you to take whatever that doctor says and implement it immediately. It's not required. You can always bring it home and then start to make yourself aware of what you can do on your own through research for this diagnosis. One of the resources I wanted to give out today is a great website. It's called NIH.gov. And this is a government website that publishes new studies and information on diseases and ailments, all kinds of things. Studies on vaping on there right now, studies on all kinds of things. And it's not a very well-known website. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but you can go on there and start to learn and research about anything you want to know about. And there are up-to-date studies published on this website. So again, that's nih.gov. They have a little search tab in the corner, and you can plug in anything and get real results and papers and scientific studies on these ailments that you may be wanting to know more about. So that's one thing I wanted to really talk about today too, is awareness about natural health, and just, being open to looking at different remedies to whatever your situation is. Since I started the podcast, I'm just blown away by what's out there. There are so many functional practitioners out there. More and more doctors are moving towards this model because it's based on really fixing the problem from illness. It's not covering up the illness with, pills or surgery. It's getting to the root of the problem. So more and more, I'm seeing functional doctors come aboard and open new practices, because those ones really do want to help people. And you can only help someone if you're getting to the root of the problem and not covering it up with, just a pill. So I would encourage you, when it comes to awareness, to, be courageous and start looking into your own diagnosis. Start looking into what other options you may have. You don't have to make a decision there and then in that doctor's office. Take the prescription. You don't have to fill it right then and there. Go home, collect yourself, and start researching what's out there for me for this. What else could I do? Because when you do that, it's going to open up a whole new world. And then you can start looking at common sense things like, I could try this first. There could be something simple that you could implement first and see if it works, and use the pills and the surgeries for last resort. So, the more that you make yourself aware of what's out there for natural health, the more options you're going to have. And who doesn't love options, right? we all love options. So, make yourself aware of that before you lock yourself into a lifetime of pills or maybe a surgery that doesn't help. Okay? So, um, definitely wanted to talk about that. The first step, again, we're just going to recap the 8 steps. And so the first one was awareness, and we talked about that. The next one is discover and educate, which we talked about that too. You know, I always like to cross-reference my websites when I find information. I just feel like, hey, if I can find this 3 to 5 more places, and I can look at all the studies from those different places, how did they collect their data, and I'm like, hey man, there's something to this, because it's not just here, it's over here, it's over here, it's over here. And just recently I found out that taking NSAIDs and even ibuprofen for pain relief causes hair loss, and I had no idea that that was a medication that caused hair loss. And it got me to thinking, how many women, especially, I mean, I know men have male pattern baldness and stuff they deal with, and that's one thing. But for women to be losing their hair, so many women over the years to me have said, yeah, my hair's thinning. Actually, I cut my hair. I cut my hair short because it just looks so thin now. It doesn't grow like it used to. I mean, we're talking, I can't even tell you how many women have told me that over the years. Like, it's crazy. We're all losing our hair and we don't know why. I went to the doctor years ago to find out what is going on here. Like, my hair used to be like my daughter's, not thick, but tons of it. And then slowly but surely, it's just like falling out all the time, all the time. So right away, I thought thyroid, it's got to be thyroid. And maybe that was part of it. But it didn't stop after I was able to fix my thyroid. It didn't stop. I still had hair loss. Well, it turned out that, I was taking a lot of NSAIDs at that time. So, I don't take a lot of that now, thankfully, and my hair is returning and repairing. And I can't help but wonder, was that what it was? And why don't we know this? I was able to cross-reference that with multiple articles about hair loss with NSAIDs and ibuprofen. Multiple articles, like it was on WebMD. So, it's not like it was some naturopathic website that I saw it on that may or may not be, legit. This is on WebMD and multiple places. So you don't see stuff like that unless you go looking for it. So that's key when you're discovering and educating and continuing to do so, is just to continue. Hey, this is happening to me. What do I know about this? You have the internet now, which is, they didn't have it years ago, obviously. So they had to kind of take the doctor's word for it. But now you have your own set of tools. And when you go back to the doctor from a diagnosis, you can go back armed with a lot of different options and have a discussion with a doctor about what other options you have, rather than just going on medication right away. Okay? So the third one was vision and goals, and we talked about that and how important it is to have goals. And a great tip that I just love is a vision board. I know they sound kind of corny, and have a vision board, but they really do work. They really do. They work not because you put something on a board and it just happened. That's not how they work. How they work is they start your brain working. They motivate you. They get you to thinking about, hey, okay, that's my goal. How can I get there? And when you ask your brain questions, it's going to come up with an answer, subconsciously or consciously, or things will start to happen because you're taking the action. And the great springboard to take action is visualizing your goals. So do a vision board. Do it on your computer, or do it physically and put it up in your office or put it somewhere, but have a vision and do a vision board. And that belief is the next one. So the fifth step is the belief. And again, we're just working on that you really can do this. You're going to look for those stories online. Look for the stories about how somebody has overcome something similar. If it's weight you want to lose, find someone who lost weight, put them on your vision board. They did it. They're a human. You're a human. You can do it. You're both the same species. It can be done. If they did it, you can do it. So that will help you build the belief. Focus. What is the next one? And focus is, just staying with it. You want to make it your priority. So staying focused because you need to make this your priority so that your health doesn't become your priority. And then the next one was immersion. And we talked about that, how you can get yourself involved in things where people are going to be living healthy lifestyles. So you immerse yourself in the culture of natural living and healthy living. Consistent application and consistent action is the seventh one. You're not going to do it overnight. I know, especially when you've made the decision that, hey, I am changing this. I am not putting up with this anymore. And that's what it takes to really change a habit, is to get to the point where the pain is greater than the payoff of what you're doing. And that is just so key. Like when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, I think they say, that's when you're going to make the change. So once you've decided, hey, I'm making a change. Now it's about taking consistent action every day, every single day. You got to take action towards that goal every single day, no matter how small. If it's a decision not to drink a pop and have water instead, then that's action. That's an action step that you are taking towards your journey. And all those little actions add up to your goal. And then the last one, which is teach. So once you feel like you're really grooving with this system, you're making yourself aware, you're checking out your food, you're educating yourself on a daily basis, you're visiting your goals, you've got that belief, you really know you can do it, you're focused, you're immersing yourself in different places that are healthy places to be, you're taking the action. Now it's time to teach somebody else. You teach somebody else and you share this information with somebody else so that they can apply it in their life, and that holds you accountable. Now you're accountable because you're somebody's teacher. They're going to come to you for information and you're going to want to help them along the way. Not only that, it solidifies, that this system works and that you can now take it and change your lifestyle for the better so that you can achieve optimum health. So that's all I really have for you today, is the transformation system with Naturally Inspired podcast. And I just want to say that this has already been such an incredible journey. I'm learning so much, and I have met some really interesting people, and I continue to get emails and contacted about, oh, you got to hear this story and you got to hear that story. And I just want to say, keep them coming, because I'm sifting through them and I'm working through them. I have a fantastic lady coming on next week. And the week after that, we're going to be talking about something called PDTR. So that just kind of pique your interest there. It's a very, very interesting therapy that's holistic and natural, and it's super interesting. I can't even begin to explain it. It's very complex, but we're going to try to tackle it. We're going to be talking about infertility. So if you know anybody that's struggled with infertility and, has had that as a challenge in their life, I'm going to be talking with an infertility expert, and that's coming up. There's so many different things. There's a nutritionist coming on. I mean, it's a really exciting time, and I am just thrilled to be bringing you this information and giving you options in your life when it comes to health. That's what this whole movement is about, is to expose people to different options, that you're not backed into a corner, that there are some fabulous practitioners out there that are getting results, trying new things, and that you aren't locked into doing whatever this one person has told you have to do, whether that be pills or surgery or, whatever their remedy is. You aren't locked into it. Now, if that's what you want to do, then that's another thing. But if you're open and you would like to explore your options and have conversations with people about your health and have a relationship with others when it comes to discovering natural health, then this movement is for you. And I'm so incredibly grateful that you are tuning in to learn with me. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Naturally Inspired podcast. Oh, so I almost forgot. If you would like to have a copy of my transformation wheel here with the 8 steps so that you can fill it out yourself and see how you're doing in each area to achieve your optimum health, you can text the word advocate to 44244, and I'll be happy to send you a copy of it so you can work off that. Thanks again. If the Naturally Inspired movement makes sense to you, let's do this together and transform the medical model and help people take charge of their health. Learn more about how you can join the Naturally Inspired movement by going to naturallyinspiredadvocate.com or call me at 970-475-4862.